Hello,
Welcome
everyone,
to
and welcome back to the Star Wars Stuff Podcast. My name is David.
and my name is James, and you got to hear that live. You got to hear that little mistake live. We're not going to redo it. We're just gonna keep going. And anyways, yes, I'm James, and here we talk about all things Star Wars. But before we get started, we have some amazing people to thank.
Yes, we do. And if I can bring the banner up for all of our awesome top tier Patreon supporters out there, starting with Liam McCallion, Kevin Leininger, Devin McCaffrey, Zach Netzel, Maya Morris, Adam Haber, Front Row King, Cam from Indiana, Mariana Atia Arnold, Russ Jedi 27, and Alex Blundell. Thank you so much for your awesome love and support.
Yes,
And also, if you visit legionsabers.com and use the code STUFF at checkout, you get 15% off.
and those are the best lightsabers. We talk about all the time. They are literally the best lightsabers, and get them. Yeah, seriously, go check them out. And I promise you're gonna love them. And they do, and of course we talked about it before, but they do sound effects. They don't just do lightsaber sounds. There are like different sound effects they do. I think Colin was like, "Hey, listen, it's a pod racing engine," and he was sure enough, it sounded like a pod racer when you swung it around. There's a few other sounds. What were the other sounds? There was like R2D2, I think, the scream, and then
You could
there was a.
literally do anything.
It
There's some
was
of them that are programmable. I have one that I haven't tinkered with, but yeah, you can literally program any sound. You could do sounds from other IP. I've heard like Mario Kart sounds from some of them, and it's like, why would you do that? But I mean, people like to.
it's fun. Hey, but yeah, go check out Legion Sabers. They're great, and yeah, you get 15% off. And we'll put the code there in the show notes as well. So the other day, Rolling Stone released an interview with the one and only Rian Johnson. They're seen here. If you're watching us on YouTube, there's his picture. Of course, everybody knows what he looks like. Oh, and fun fact: David and I have both met Rian Johnson at separate times. And if you're watching us on YouTube, you'll see. So there's a picture of me and Rian Johnson back in 2012, I believe it was. He was in, yeah, it was 2012 because he was in Austin promoting Looper, and I got a picture with him really quickly. And then here's David with him at Star Wars Celebration in Florida, the night of the when they pretty much y'all camped out overnight for the panel for the Last Jedi. I did not do that. I was way too exhausted to wait in line again. So yeah, so there's David with Rian Johnson, and you can see this how tall I am compared to David in this picture, compared to how tall he is to Rian Johnson. So just letting you know that that's the size difference. But anyways, um, so yeah, that's a little fun fact. We both met Rian Johnson. So
Also, I got to say, lots of respect to Ryan Johnson. This was at 4 a.m. in Orlando in 2017. He stayed and he signed everyone's whatever they wanted signed. So I was like, this guy's great. Free autographs, free pictures, free selfies. He was just so cool.
yeah, and when I saw him for Looper, there was a crowd around him, but it wasn't what it would be today. So it was just a few people, and I was able to walk up and say, "Hey, can I get a picture?" And he goes, "Yeah, sure." And I was like, "Oh man," I was so happy because I was like, "This is crazy." I got to meet an actual director that I really really like, and then of course a few years later he gets announced to be doing The Last Jedi, which is where we start this interview, because if you don't know, he does have a season 2 of a very successful show called Poker Face. I saw the first season. I haven't seen the second season. The first season was amazing. If you like, detective like shows, if you like Columbo, that's kind of the vein of what this show kind of was. And it's really great. The celebrities, and it's crazy the amount of celebrities and people he works with. It's pretty insane, especially looking at the cast of Knives Out and then Glass Onion. Those are some heavy hitters, and yeah, he gets people love working with him. So, anyways, in this interview talking about Poker Face and other things he's done, they did bring up Star Wars because, of course, it's Rian Johnson. You got to talk about Star Wars, and so um, oh yes, I did shave. If you're watching us on YouTube, yes. So I thought you were against doing that. I wasn't against doing that. It was just I needed to clean it up a little bit, and so here it is. So hopefully, if you're watching us on YouTube, you're not too disappointed that I'm clean shaven right now. But
Yeah, watch us on YouTube. Give us a like for James's
yes,
shaved
yeah. If you're
face.
listening on Apple or Spotify, stop. Go to YouTube and you can watch and see my.
Maybe I should make the picture for this podcast a picture of James's shaved face. I was gonna do Rian Johnson, but it might just be James, and people can be like,
No,
"That's what he looks like." But
no,
no,
it needs
not
to.
really.
No, yeah. Don't worry, I'm already growing it back. It's already coming back. So it was just I needed a fresh start, and so it's coming back. But anyways,
Yeah.
so
Shout out to Matt. He is watching
yes,
us in Australia. We met him in
Australia.
Japan. So cool.
That was the wildest thing. Him telling us he listens to us in Australia, and we're like, what? That's just I don't know. That just blows me away. But thank you so much. And I'm sorry I did shave my face. But all right. So in this interview, Rolling Stone did bring up The Last Jedi and Star Wars for Rian Johnson. And here's the question. With Last Jedi, there was a popular conception that you and J.J. Abrams didn't really talk, which is why certain ideas get undone from one movie to the next. What was your actual level of communication with him? Which is a pretty good question. Rian Johnson answers with, we communicated, we met, and I spent days with him and was able to get into his head and all the choices he had made. That having been said, I communicated and I went and made the movie, and he was in the middle of Force Awakens. Ultimately, I feel like the choices in it, none of them were born out of intent to undo anything. They're all born out of the opposite intent of how do I take the story that JJ wrote that I really loved and these characters he created that I really loved and take them to the next step. Kathy said, we're looking at someone to do the Empire Strikes Back of this series. I took the
Whoa.
assignment very seriously, maybe more seriously than someone would have liked. I guess to me, that didn't mean making something that just had nods to Empire. That meant trying to genuinely do what Empire did. So that's what do you think about that answer?
That's very interesting that Kathleen Kennedy used those words. But yeah, I mean, everyone going into The Last Jedi was thinking, okay, this is the Empire Strikes Back of this trilogy.
Yes.
So everyone had that going in. Everyone that was a fan, everyone that was familiar with the original trilogy, that's what we all thought. And then when we got that trailer, this is not going to end up the way you thought it was going to, in so many words. I'm
And
paraphrasing,
then
but
it's time for the Jedi to end. You hear that at
yeah,
the
and I was
very
like,
end of the
wow,
trailer. You're like,
that's incredible. What are we gonna get that's not Jedi now? That's what everyone felt like, thought that we're gonna get something like a brand new like evolution of the Jedi.
yeah. And yeah, the expectations and in the teaser trailer you saw the battle with the ships on like the planet. Oh, hey, she's watching.
Hey.
It's Mariana. Sorry. If you're not watching us on YouTube, Mariana, thank you so much for jumping on. She keeps the conversation going here for us on YouTube. But in the Last Jedi teaser trailer, they showed the desert and the battle, and it was like, oh, that's the snow planet from that's like Hoth. You know what I mean? And there was a lot of images that we were like, oh, this is gonna be like the Empire Strikes Back. The shot, I remember people screaming when they cut to the wide of Rey with her lightsaber and Luke standing up above her watching her. I remember people screamed when they heard that because it was like, oh, he is training Rey to be a Jedi. And so yeah, it's pretty crazy that she did word it that way. I want this to be the Empire Strikes Back of this trilogy. And said Rian Johnson, he did set out to do something that felt different from the first chapter. Because if you remember A New Hope to Empire, it's a pretty drastic shift in tone and
Yeah.
style. And
he did do something shocking.
yeah, he did. Yeah. Yeah. So it's like, okay, yeah. I think he did kind of make the Empire Strikes Back of like what he envisioned and what he said this is what it be. And so the interview goes on and says, but just to use an example, Force Awakens sets up Snoke as the big villain of the new trilogy with a mysterious backstory. And then midway through The Last Jedi, Kylo Ren slices him in two and takes over the First Order. So Rian Johnson replies, that was in reading JJ's script and watching the dailies and seeing the power of Adam Driver's character. The interrogation scene in the first movie between Rey and Kylo was so incredibly powerful. Seeing this complicated villain that's been created, I was just so compelled by that. This is all a matter of perspective and phrasing, but to me, I didn't easily dispense with Snoke. I took great pains to use him in the most dramatically impactful way I could, which was then to take Kylo's character to the next level and set him up as as well as I possibly could. I guess it all comes down to your point of view. I thought this is such a compelling and complicated villain. This is who would make sense going forward to build around, which I agree. And which was when we got to the Rise of Skywalker, it was like, oh, okay, I guess Kylo Ren wasn't going to be the big baddie. That's James talking, not Rian Johnson. But yeah, so that was his answer to that, which was yeah, a lot of people were like, what was the point of Snoke? What was the point of Snoke? Rian Johnson's pretty much telling us it was just watching Adam Driver and being like, oh, this is the villain. Like, this is the main guy. Like, this is who we need to build up as the main villain, which I thought made sense. Like, after Snoke died, I was like, oh, yeah, you're right. This is the main baddie. Like, he killed his father. He kills the villain now he's taking over as the villain, if you may. I thought that made sense. I think we all just had these different theories in our head of what Snoke was going to be. Like, what was when that moment happened in the movie? What was your reaction?
I liked it. I thought it was interesting. It was a surprise. I liked the character of Snoke, and it felt like that was like a shocking moment. That was an Empire Strikes Back, not maybe level of I am your father or whatever,
Mhm.
but that was like, wow, that's okay. Well, exactly what you said. Kylo is the real main bad guy, and he's taking over. He needs to take over. He's like the new Darth Vader type.
Yeah.
And having the whole JJ directing the first one, then Ryan directing the next one, the little problematic to have like a Snoke character in there.
Yeah.
If they knew where they were going, they could probably have just like not done Snoke and maybe did like a version of like Palpatine's orders or something that Darth Vader left for a future apprentice that he was going by, and maybe Kylo could have been the leader from the beginning, something like that. I don't know, just spitballing. But yeah, he was older. I mean, he was in his mid 30s when he shot this. So I
Who?
mean, it's not like he was a kid, right?
Mhm.
So you could kind of like see, and I think the audience would like see that he was like a guy that was in charge, that
Mhm.
could be in charge.
You did say something interesting, which is Palpatine's like those guys who we never got an explanation for in Return of the Jedi, which
The guy in like
always
the
makes me
Russian
laugh.
hats.
Yeah. And it's funny because people are like, when they watch the sequel trilogy, they're like, who are these? Like, who are these characters? How come they don't have a backstory? I'm like, man, y'all were totally fine with those guys in Return of the Jedi. Just they were in a couple of scenes. He goes to talk to them, and we're like, what? Who? How? And we never see them again. So just letting y'all know that Star Wars has done this before. But anyways, that would have
Those
been
were
an
clearly the
interesting.
leaders on Exegol. Clearly.
Clearly. But here's the thing that would have been interesting is if those guys were in charge of the First Order and Kylo Ren kills them. And then it's like, oh, okay, that makes sense. But I'm not going to lie. When I first saw Snoke in The Force Awakens, I was a little like, oh, okay. We just threw a whole villain. We have no idea who he is. And we all thought Kylo Ren was the villain. Like we thought he was the main villain when we first saw those teaser trailers for Force Awakens. And so it was like, oh, there's somebody else. Okay, cool. And I
Yeah,
don't
well,
know.
I mean, we found out about Snoke, and then there's a big rumor flying around that was Plagueis,
Oh yeah,
and
that's
that
right.
was like the best kind of juggling of all this lore. It's like,
Yeah.
yes, the guy that controlled Palpatine, the master of Palpatine, somehow he returns, which we hear that later on in the
Yeah.
sequel trilogy. But we were all for it, man. It really should have been Plagueis somehow, some way.
Somehow, some way. But
No
then I
one would
think
have had an issue with it, you know?
no, dude, people would have had such an issue with it because
I
it's
don't
like,
think so, because I remember that
Palpa-
time everyone's like, "Yes, we're getting Plagueis."
but Palpatine kills Plagueis.
But
He,
he knew how to prevent people from dying.
all right, fair enough. That does make sense. I will say, okay, yeah. And then we could be like, oh, he did figure it out. He just didn't tell Palpatine, and boom, boom, boom. And then it's crazy to think about now that you're saying this. You set up Plagueis as the episode 7, episode 8 villain, and then bringing back Palpatine would have made a little more sense of like he really did like figure it out at the very end. Anyways, eh. Okay. So they talked about him being involved in the third movie, and he said that he really wasn't ever involved. One of the things they said was, people have suggested that you thought you might get to do both. So I remember there was a rumor going around that he was going to do 8 and 9, or at least write episode 9, and direct 8. They said, so people have suggested you thought you might get to do both. And when you discovered that you wouldn't, you decided to squeeze every idea you ever had for a Star Wars movie into this one film. And then he said, no, absolutely not. The reality is, if I thought I was doing both of them, I would have ended it the same way. From the very start, the assignment was doing 8, and another director would do 9. I didn't know it'd be JJ, but the whole thing was being the middle leg of the race. So Rian Johnson wrote episode 8 with the idea that I am writing this chapter. I'm the middle piece of the story, and then someone else is going to come in to finish the rest of the project. So they say, okay, in The Rise of Skywalker, there's a scene where someone asks why don't they just do the Holdo maneuver with an unmanned ship, and someone else says that's a million to one shot that will never work again. There are a few other things like that in the film, including undoing the idea that Rey was a nobody and instead is Palpatine's granddaughter. When you saw the movie, or when you learned that they were doing some of those things, how did you feel about that? And so Rian Johnson replies, when I saw the movie, I had a great time watching it. Again, this is all about point of view. I never approached this like a territory I'm carving out for my thing. In my perspective, JJ did the same thing with the third that I did with the second, which is not digging it up and undoing, just telling the story the way that was most compelling going forward. That means not just validating what came before, but recontextualizing it and evolving and changing as the story moves forward. I didn't feel resentful in some way, but you're talking about a movie made by my friends with my friends in it. I sit down to watch a movie and it's a Star Wars movie. It's all stuff I love. I'm not the one to come for hard hitting critique. You can go to YouTube for that. So, according to Johnson, he was like, "Oh, yeah, that was good." Like, he wasn't upset with anything that J.J. Abrams did. I mean, do you believe him? I mean, it sounds like he's giving a pretty good answer, but how do you feel about that?
I mean, there's still a big piece that's unknown in this interview. It's like the whole Colin Trevorrow of it all.
Yes.
There's a complete film there in screenplay that's done. Did he ever get to read that? How did that really jive with Ryan's ideas and his sensibility? I mean, I don't even remember Duel of the Fates at all. Was there anything that connected more so than The Rise of Skywalker?
Yeah.
What were those points?
Well, Palpatine doesn't come back in Duel of the Fates. Kylo Ren is the ultimate villain.
I thought Maul came back.
No, that was George Lucas's.
Yeah, I'm confusing it all now.
Yeah. But Trevorrow's was Kylo Ren was the big baddie, only because we got rid of who we thought was the big baddie in the second one, which makes sense that Kylo Ren.
And he had a face off with Luke.
And he has a face off with Luke later on. Coruscant.
I would love to see a physical facing a Force ghost with a lightsaber.
And the image was
catches a lightsaber.
Yes. Luke Skywalker catches Kylo Ren's lightsaber in his hands. There's a huge battle over Coruscant, and on Coruscant, because that's where the First Order is. That's their headquarters.
And Rey had a double-bladed lightsaber naturally because she carried a staff.
Yep, Rey has a double-edged lightsaber, which was amazing. Hux had Mace Windu's lightsaber, which was, I thought, really cool, because Hux took over as Supreme Chancellor. He calls himself Supreme Chancellor of the First Order. And Kylo Ren is like, don't call yourself that. That's stupid, pretty much is how that goes. And he goes over to the mantelpiece, and there's Mace Windu's lightsaber, because it did fall off technically there in Palpatine's office. So what else was there? There were so many things. And the big twist, the big twist of Duel of the Fates was Kylo Ren killed Rey's parents. That was supposed to be the big twist of the whole series. Was he knew who he's known who she was this whole time. And
he continued on the whole Rey nobody storyline that Ryan set up. Okay.
Yep. And that was so that made more sense. Rey goes blind at the very end of the movie, but then she ends up finding them again. And the way they wrote it, and I know I've talked about it before, the way they wrote it, which was really cool, was it looks like Finn has been telling the story the whole time. Like it looks like Star Wars has been told by Finn to these young Force wielder children who they found throughout the galaxy. And Broom Boy would have come back, and he would have been there with them.
Broom Boy.
And so yeah, that's how Duel of the Fates followed The Last Jedi very well. And it was one of those things that you're reading and you're going, oh my gosh, this would have worked. But of course, Carrie Fisher's death was just
Right.
just horrendously horrible and sad, and they could not figure out a way to make that work, because she had a huge part in that one. And of course, the story, the way it was set up was Force Awakens was Han Solo, Last Jedi was Luke Skywalker, Duel of the Fates was Leia Organa, and we didn't get that one.
Well, it kind of felt like that in the end.
Yeah, but not what could have been, but they could have worked with her, and how she, and one of my favorite images of reading the script was her in like the Mon Calamari shuttle, and she's in the seat and she's directing the battle from the seat, like what Radis and Akbar did. And so she's up there.
Oh wow, that would have been
really cool. And there were so many,
man.
There's a whole like underground movement like on Coruscant, and Finn and Rose rally the troops together to go and fight. And there's like a huge battle, and then Chewbacca gets behind the controls of an X-wing because Rey has the Falcon. So we could have gotten Chewbacca in an X-wing flying, and apparently they like joke with him like he's too big for it, but then when they see him flying, he's just wrecking, like he's just destroying. And I was like, this is great. This is such a good story. So yeah, like, you're right with this interview,
fan moments.
Yeah, with this interview, there is a big missing piece, which was Colin Trevorrow's script, and if Rian Johnson had read it. And so there is this little bit they did say, speaking of which, Last Jedi was a big hit, which it was. I think a lot of people kind of forget. That movie made, I think, over $1 billion, critically acclaimed. But because there's some subset of some unknown size that is really, really mad online about it, then that becomes the dominant narrative about the movie. What do you remember as that backlash was happening? How did that feel for you to be witnessing it? Which is, I think that's a pretty good question. And he says, in the moment, it's a complicated chain of reactions to it. It never feels good to have anybody coming after you on the internet, and especially coming after you saying things that I think I very much do not agree with about, a thing I made and put a lot of my heart and soul into. But at the same time, having grown up a Star Wars fan ultimately let me contextualize it and feel at peace with it in many different ways. Just remembering going back on one level to arguing on the playground about Star Wars as a kid. And I was in college when the prequels came out. My friends and I were prequel hate central, which I thought that was actually pretty funny. Everyone was ruthless at that time. And of course, now the prequels are embraced. I'm not saying that, this will flip around in 20 years. You'll see. It's more that this push and pull and this hatred to stuff that seems new, this is all part of being a Star Wars fan. Culture war or garbage aside, I think that's an essential part of it. It's a healthy part to be kind of arguing about Star Wars. And he says pretty much what he's saying is, from the beginning, people have argued about Star Wars. People have complained about Star Wars. And then we just found out that he was a prequel hater when he was in college, which I think a lot of the millennials don't want to remember that. But there was a whole generation of people who just absolutely hated the prequels. And yeah, so that was a pretty good answer. It's nice to know that he wasn't like hurt by it. But then again, he got like a sick deal with Netflix. So I think he's fine with that. What do you think about that?
Yeah, super interesting that I mean, a lot of people hated the prequels. I know people that are listening right now think that's maybe like blasphemous or that wasn't true. But yeah, I mean, people
it was a
couldn't
thing.
handle the fact that this wasn't Star Wars. This was something else. This was it didn't like Rian Johnson said, it didn't go the way we thought it was gonna go, And when I watched The Phantom Menace for the first time, I really liked it because I had been researching on the internet when it was in its infancy. George Lucas said it's all cyclical. It comes back around. You have events that kind of mirror what has already happened, and that's exactly what you got with the Phantom Menace. And it made a lot of sense to me. We got young Obi-Wan, we got his master, we got younger Yoda. I mean, we got for me, we got pretty much, and then we got Darth Maul too. We got that introduction, and they didn't really shove it in your face, but yeah, Palpatine was there. I mean, it was Chancellor Palpatine. I mean, how could you not know? But I mean, it made a lot of sense to me. And then Attack of the Clones was just brutally just dismantled when it came out,
Yeah,
and the
it
Yoda
was.
fight couldn't even save it. And then that was voted the worst Star Wars movie of all time.
Mm-hmm.
And after taking all these mental punches to my brain and to my psyche and to everything, it's like, okay, well, the third one still needs to come out. It's like, where's the hype level for that? And it was still big. People still went to go see it. It still made a lot of money. And I mean, when people jump on these franchises, even outside of Star Wars, it's kind of rough. Like we just went through one right now with Superman. Same kind of thing. Fans have like one team, and then there's another team that's opposed to them, and it's like split in half almost. Not so much with Superman, but the whole splitting the fandom in half with The Last Jedi whole type of thing. But it didn't seem like the prequels had any fans back then. Like
Oh yeah,
any.
no.
And it was like dictating really kind of what I thought about the whole thing, you know? It was like you weren't on the winning team anymore, you know? It was the original trilogy, greatest thing ever, and then the prequels, George Lucas messed up, or George Lucas did this for children. And of course, you hear like he's doing this for 12-year-olds, which is true, but it's like, man, you invest so much and you think that people are going to see it the same way you did. I mean, I didn't see it in the best light at some points, but still, it was Star Wars. It was a story of Anakin Skywalker. It was never going to live up to what I dreamt of.
Oh
I
yeah,
figured
no.
all that out, but you had all these people hating on it. It was usually the older people, older than me. I'm 43 years old. I'm used to being a young kid, and now you have all these older people that were like, I saw the original trilogy in the theater, and this is totally what we shouldn't have gotten. And then you hear people say, oh, Return of the Jedi is where it started because we didn't get the Wookiee planet. We got a bunch of teddy bears. And that's where George Lucas went soft. He went for the kids. It's like, man, that's the first time I ever heard that because I never heard anyone complain about Return of the Jedi until the prequels came out. So, what were we talking about?
we're talking about Deadpool. No, I'm just kidding. Now we're talking about The Last Jedi and Rian Johnson's take on like how people badmouth it, and he's just like, well, that's just how Star Wars. It's always been that way with Star Wars. Like
I wish he didn't have that mentality, man.
How would you want him to defend it and then be like, this is my, you know what I mean? Like
he underestimated. This is my point of view. This is my opinion. It was almost like he went into Star Wars and he underestimated the way in which he should have approached the material. And it's almost like you can't fault him for it because he was given the mandate by Kathleen Kennedy. I want the Empire Strikes Back of this trilogy. And of course, the Empire Strikes Back is iconic. One of the greatest reveals in cinema history. I mean, that's a lot of pressure. Do you do something like that again? Or do you go way out in the left field with a different kind of reveal and a different story in a sense? And I mean, doing what he did with Luke Skywalker, I mean, I think that's probably the biggest issue. But yeah, I mean, it's a tough thing. I mean, none of us can say what goes on in the heads of some of these directors as far as like pressure and just that responsibility. And it's almost it's almost like sometimes I think Rian Johnson went into this thing with, nah, I'm not going to think about the pressure. I'm just going to do a movie because I'm doing a movie. And he did it. But still, he was, it's a tough thing to describe, really, because he had Mark Hamill telling him, hey, I don't agree with any of this, but I'm going to do what you say because you're the director. And then, but see, Mark Hamill had that experience with George Lucas. I think he thought the same thing with him. And then he's like, well, it's a talented director. They have like pretty big hits. They're proven. Just trust them. But I don't know. I mean, it's been what, 8 years since The Last Jedi? Has anything really changed? It still feels like the same. Like, what happened? And to put it in simplistic terms, I know this is gonna sound ridiculous. I've said it before on the podcast, but there's certain like landmarks and certain things you got to hit when you do a Star Wars film. And The Last Jedi was like the biggest film that didn't go the way people wanted it to go. And he said that in the trailer. And it's like, okay, well, if he says that, it's going to be something so incredible that it's going to be revolutionary. And you got The Empire Strikes Back that you're trying to kind of mimic in a way. It's the middle of the trilogy. Oh my God, acclaimed director, dude that has done no wrong. And then you're like lifted up. You're so hyped up. And then it's like, Luke just threw the lightsaber behind his head. It's like, is this a dream? Like, what just happened? We're all laughing, but it doesn't kind of fit what's going on here. And he's like this like non-Luke Skywalker person. And I think that just threw everyone for a loop. And we've all seen the movie, but it was me, and I want to say that I haven't said the final thing here, but this is gonna sound crazy.
Do it.
It's gonna sound super crazy.
Say it.
But when you go into a franchise film like this, and I think about it's crazy that I think about this, but this is the closest example I can think of. But it's like the Fast and the Furious. I mean, they give you everything that you're hoping for. They give you the cars, they give you the racing, they give you different like stuff that happens with the cars, but you're always gonna get the thing you're expecting. And I've also compared it to like, and I'm not a Fast and the Furious fan at all. I almost detest all that stuff, but the first one was pretty good. But the thing is, it's like when you go to a steakhouse,
okay,
and you want to order a steak,
and
they bring out a plate of really a nice plate of vegetables, and you're like, "Where's the steak?" That's what I think about when I think about The Last Jedi. I didn't get the steak, man. I didn't get the steak. I got the vegetables. It's a great story. It was, like George Lucas says, it was very nicely made, but it's not what we ordered, you know? But then again, you think, okay, the fans, I mean, how are they going to order something? But it's like, you just know, you just have to know what to give us, you know? That's the whole trick of it. It's like with Superman. Like when, no spoilers for the new movie, but are you going to make a Superman that doesn't fly? No. Are you going to make a Superman that have the costume that doesn't have a cape? No. There was actually a producer that wanted him to make him not be able to fly, not have a cape, and have the Fortress of Solitude filled with people.
Was this recent?
Like, well, it was the movie that Kevin Smith was going to direct.
Oh, the Tim Burton movie, yeah.
Yeah, essentially. Yeah, it was John. I think it was.
I know who you're talking about.
What was the guy's name? I think his name was John Goober or something. But it's like there are tenets you have to meet. Like this Jedi Starfighter. I mean, you're going to have dogfights. You got to. If you don't, what are you doing? That's what everyone's expecting, right?
But here's the thing. Yes, you're expecting that. Totally expecting that. I want Luke to do the craziest stuff ever because I need to see Luke doing the craziest stuff ever. But you write him
not that.
You
Exactly.
then what is it?
I mean, you don't want to have him just like not do anything cinematic. There has to be something cinematic about what he does. And there was really nothing. He did a Matrix bend and that was it. And then it's like, okay, we've been waiting and that's all we got.
Yeah, because that's what he was set up with. That's what you have to work with when you get to the Last Jedi. How Luke is written in Force Awakens is how Rian Johnson had to then have him be played out in the Last Jedi. You
But in the
can't
last
have
scene, he had rocks floating all around him, and then Rian Johnson was like, "No, you can't do that."
yeah, because it doesn't make sense. It literally makes no sense for Luke Skywalker to still be a Jedi and all powerful if he's
Why
just
not?
gonna let.
What
Because
prevents him from being that?
why would you let Han Solo die? Why would you let everybody? Why would you leave everybody alone? That's the
We're going to
first
see
thing.
Luke. We're going to
No,
see Luke. You
yeah,
leave. You end the Force Awakens with finding Luke.
yes,
The
of
the
course.
crawl says Luke Skywalker's disappeared. It's like
Yes,
we got to find Luke.
yes.
Luke was a star of the original
But why
trilogy.
does he disappear? Why does he go to where he needs to go? And why is he acting? And why did he leave? Why did he disappear? What makes somebody disappear and you don't find him anymore? And you can't find him
Right.
anymore.
And Mark
You have
Hamill's talked about that. He talked about that last week. He said he fell in love. He had a child. The child died. The mother, the wife, couldn't take it, and that's what maybe turned him.
okay, so then
That's maybe his backstory, but that wasn't the backstory at
but
all. It was
tell
nothing.
that to J.J. Abrams to write that in The Force Awakens so that Rian Johnson can then say, okay, now let's build off of this, and now I can go and do this.
Yeah, that
But
wasn't his job though. It was just the Force Awakens.
exactly. But
Yeah,
how he wrote Luke is what Rian Johnson had to take and then do in The Last Jedi.
but he didn't. He wasn't put in a corner that way though. That's what I'm trying to say. I mean, it could have been a lot of different stuff.
But they
I mean,
clearly
I
say,
don't think you're stuck like you had to do the Last Jedi the way he did it. I
I
mean,
honestly, I think
yeah,
you
but it's like I said, I mean, it was not what anyone wanted.
of course, it wasn't what we were expecting. But the thing is like you can't write Luke went to search for the first Jedi temple um because this is what happened and this is what happened. So one of his students killed everybody and destroyed everything that he was building. So that is what Han Solo tells Rey and Finn. This is what happened and why Luke is no longer here. You you can't just have Luke chilling on a rock with using the Force and doing all of this and knowing everything's happening, and then have her hand him the lightsaber and him looking at her going, "I'm going to train you." And we all would have been like, "This doesn't make any sense. Why are you now just being like, are you going to hand me this lightsaber? Of course, I'm going to rise up to the challenge and be the Luke Skywalker everybody wants me to be." There's literally no way that Johnson could have not done what he did. Like, there's story wise, I think what Johnson did was the only thing he could do with Luke. And what I love about the ending of The Last Jedi is Luke Skywalker becomes Luke Skywalker. And it's like, yes, this is great. And I don't know. I understand when I first saw the Last Jedi, when Luke tossed the lightsaber, I remember going like, what? Like I was just like blown away. But for me, it made sense. Mariana over here said Yoda disappeared and he was still super powerful, and Luke found him crazy but still powerful. That is very true. So Yoda knew everything that was happening, but Yoda was like, I'm just gonna hide and stay over here, cut off or not cut off from the Force, but I'm just gonna be by myself and waiting over here. Um, would you want Luke to be that way? Would you want Luke to still have the Force and then Ray shows up and then
Well, he
he's
clearly
like,
still had the Force because you did the whole Force projection thing
yeah, but that's later on in the movie when he finally opens
when he
himself up to the
regains it
Force.
back.
Yeah, when the water and the whole thing, he opens himself to the Force, and that's when he uh yeah. He comes one with the Force, and then you hear Leia saying Luke, and that's when he wakes up because he's like, "Oh my gosh!" Leia immediately felt him when he was back in tune with the Force, and that's when he goes to find Rey and say, "Rey, let's go. We need to go." And then that's when he finds her with Kylo Ren, and that's when she hits him, and that's when he goes to fall down. He catches himself because he's now like one with the Force, if you may. I don't know. For me, I think what he did, what Rian Johnson did, that I think what Abrams wrote for him, that was the only thing Johnson could have done. And to not make us hate Luke also for just being like, your sister and your best friend are like fighting for their lives, and you're just over here on this rock, just chilling, just not doing anything. You let Han Solo die. Like how could we ever forgive Luke for letting Han Solo die in The Force Awakens?
Yeah, I mean that's the argument. That's not the character. It's not Luke Skywalker. Luke Skywalker wasn't that. You wouldn't think he'd do that. Even when Mark Hamill was reading the script for The Force Awakens, he read the part where the lightsaber force gets force pulled to someone. He's like, "Yes, this is where I enter." And no, it was Daisy Ridley.
But then again, here's the funny thing about Mark Hamill and Harrison Ford and Carrie Fisher. It's like, yeah, y'all are the big three, but this is not your trilogy. This is a new age. This is, Obi-Wan Kenobi then passes it down to Luke Skywalker, and now Luke Skywalker has to then continue the journey. Luke now has to pass it down to Rey, and Rey has to continue the journey. Like, it would have been boring if Obi-Wan Kenobi just lives the rest of the way, and you know what I mean? Like, there's a passing of the torch, and I think the way Luke does it and everything, I think that was the way to do it.
I think J.J. Abrams, when he made this, he did not see it going the way that Rian Johnson took it. Because he was hitting the landmarks. He introduced the Falcon. He introduced Han Solo. Chewie was with him. I mean, he was hitting all these things. That's why The Force Awakens is like looked upon as maybe the best reviewed or the most liked out of the sequel trilogy.
Because
after that, it just kind of derailed in a way. It's like a lot of people didn't want this to happen.
But you got to remember, The Force Awakens had to get everybody to forget about the prequels. Like, that was kind of the first thing.
That's an interesting thing too, because it was right in that transition period,
right? It's
because
like they would have just waited.
It was right when the tide was about to turn on all that.
Yes.
And JJ didn't say he didn't like the prequels. He didn't say he wasn't a prequel fan, but you could tell.
Oh yeah,
you could tell the first line of that The Force Awakens movie. This will begin to make things right. That was totally a shot at the prequels, because he felt like he was course correcting back to the original trilogy,
which I think was not the way to do. I love The Force Awakens. I love all of them. I love every single Star Wars movie because they're fun. They are great Star Wars movies, and I'm a huge fan. But you can tell Abrams was told, we need to keep this safe. We need to bring people back. There was a giant planet destroying ship at the end of A New Hope. We need a same thing at the end of this movie. We need a trench run because that was what everybody loved in A New Hope. We need this. And it's almost like Abrams was throwing his own stuff in there, but you can tell the big I don't want to say, but they were like, no, you need to make this safe. We need people, because we don't want what happened with the prequels to happen with this movie. And I think that was the whole goal of The Force Awakens. And then, of course, like David said, it was like a year or two later, the prequels just out of nowhere were like, oh, hey, these are some of the best movies ever made. And there was this shift. Wild. And then everyone was like, yeah, the prequels are amazing. And it just kept growing and growing. And now people are like, yeah, the prequels, some people say the prequels are their favorite Star Wars versus the original trilogy. And it's like, man, can you imagine if they had just waited a couple of more years to make The Force Awakens? If they would have said, oh, people love the prequels. Okay, well, let's just make our own style of a new Star Wars movie, and what that would have looked like. And I think that's what Johnson was doing with The Last Jedi. He was like, all right, let's not do what The Force Awakens did. Let's just continue the story in a different style that is appropriate to what just came before. I don't know. Like I said, I still love The Force Awakens, but I do have my issues with The Force Awakens. I have my issues with The Last Jedi and with The Rise of Skywalker, but in the end, I still love them all. They're still very, very fun movies. Um, so also in this interview, the person asked, "What happened with the other Star Wars trilogy? There were talks of you doing, which, if you remember, right before The Last Jedi came out, Kennedy and Disney said Rian Johnson's got to be doing a Star Wars trilogy, his own thing, but nothing connected to the Skywalker uh, timeline." So they asked him, "So what happened to the trilogy? What happened? All the talks of of you doing the trilogy?" Ryan Johnson says, "Nothing really happened with it. We had a great time working together, and they said, 'Let's keep doing it.' I said, 'Great.' I would kick ideas around with Kathy. The short version is Knives Out happened. I went off and made Knives Out and was off to the races, busy making murder mysteries. It's the sort of thing, if down the line there's an opportunity to do it or do something else in Star Wars, I'd be thrilled. But right now, I'm just doing my own stuff and pretty happy." And then they said, "How far did you get in terms of an idea? Was there a whole thing mapped out, at least for the first of those? Like, was there anything there?" And he said, "It was all very conceptual. I made Knives Out fairly quickly after that. There was never any outline or treatment or anything." So he never really he had ideas, but I don't think he ever fully got to write them down. And here's what I think happened. Here's James's thought process to what happened. He finishes the movie under budget, ahead of schedule. We always talk about it. November 1st, like around Halloween that year, he said the movie is done. Like he said, there's no last minute anything. The movie is ready to come out. We're done. And I think Disney liked that. I think Lucasfilm liked that. And they said, "Okay, let's do another movie." And he said, "Yes, let's do it." But he was already getting production ready for Knives Out because he's probably just looking for the next gig. He probably got a really good deal. The whole cast was available for him to do Knives Out. So he was like, "Yes, I am doing this." Last Jedi comes out. The the reviews, the critics, the backlash starts to happen while he's filming Knives Out. And I think somewhere in there, he may have been told, "We're probably got to wait on this." And he said, "Okay." And then right when Knives Out came out, Oscar nominated movie, by the way, he got an Oscar nomination for a screenplay. Netflix then came up to him with that insane deal. And he was like, "Yeah, I'm going to do this." And then he got another deal with Peacock. So I think for him, it was, "Yeah, I'll do Star Wars." Okay. Disney was like, maybe somewhere down the line. He was just like, "All right, cool. Well, I'm just going to keep doing what I'm doing." And so I think that's what happened.
I totally disagree.
Okay, what do you got?
This is what I think happened. So, as people that have listened to our podcast, they know I'm a really big Peter Jackson, and I have to preface it, a Peter Jackson, the Lord of the Rings fan. I'm a fan of his movies. And the incredible part of those movies is if you bought the extended editions, you got to see the appendices of those films, which mirrors the appendices of the books. It's all the behind the scenes special features, the best ever, maybe, for any type of DVD, Blu-ray that you could ever see. They kind of detailed and they showed a lot of what Peter Jackson had to go through with taking the work of J.R.R. Tolkien, bringing it to life. He had a blueprint, though. He knew kind of what he had to do. He had wizards, he had hobbits, he had dwarves. So he had the blueprint. So he made, of course, one of the greatest trilogies of all time. So I say that because Rian Johnson was given a trilogy where they said it was all new characters, all new planets, all new everything. Once he took the job for Knives Out, I was like, there's no way this man is going to be able to do Knives Out and Star Wars from scratch, from literal scratch. All he has with Star Wars is the Force and nothing else. If everything is going to be brand new, that's going to be a lot of work, man. If he's going to be running this trilogy, that's like day and night. And if you saw Peter Jackson, I mean, he was on the verge of like catastrophe physically. And of course, we all know George Lucas got sent to the hospital from Star Wars, but it was an unknown commodity back then. And then on top of doing Knives Out, he founded his own production studio too. And he's running that. He's doing Knives Out. I was like, there's no way he's doing the Star Wars trilogy. There ain't no way, because it's a lot of work, man. It's a lot of serious work. So I kind of knew that
So you
wasn't the
think,
case.
so you're
Go
saying
ahead.
from the beginning it was never going to
Yeah.
happen.
Once I knew he was doing Knives Out, and then him and Rom found their own production studio, and it's like he can't be doing Star Wars too. There ain't no way. There's no way. I mean, even if he didn't have to sleep, there'd still probably be no way to do it. So I knew it wasn't going to happen. I mean, the chances of that, I mean, it wouldn't have been that good, you know? He would have had to relinquish a lot of his duties,
Hmm.
and it wouldn't be his anymore, really. I mean, it would have to be controlled by someone else, which has happened in the past. But him doing it as like a Rian Johnson trilogy, I knew that wasn't gonna transpire. So, but with this new story coming to light, it feels like it's almost even worse, because there's like no story still. There's ideas, but everyone has ideas, you know. I
Hmm.
mean, there's just nothing tangible, and it's depressing, because it's just like what we found out about the Investor Day call in 2019. I mean, the Taika Waititi movie is in the same spot. There's nothing tangible. The Rangers of the New Republic, is there anything really tangible? The
I think that
whole
got
Rogue
yeah.
Squadron thing, is there anything there that's not lifted from the beloved novels from Legends? I don't think so. And it's shocking, because this is Star Wars, man. This is supposed to be like the the cream of the crop, the most respected franchise, and it's like it's like something a kid would do in school, like with the project that's due. Yeah, I'm doing it. I'm working on it. It's gonna be done, and then they don't hand in the project, and it's like everyone else did. Where's your project? You know, it's like, how is this even happening? It's wild. And
It is.
Star Wars, it seems like it's just getting a pass because it's Star Wars, and people are gonna go see it whether it's The Last Jedi or not, you know?
But here's the thing, and this is going to bring me to, you got Bo-Katan behind you, you got Ahsoka, you got, it's like, are people still going to be crazy about Mando and Grogu when this all comes out? Is this, Filoni, Favreau verse movie, this big climactic showdown that we're all kind of predicting is going to happen? Is that actually going to happen? Are people going to make Mando and Grogu a $1 billion movie? Like,
Well, it helps that Avengers moved from that time period to
yeah,
December.
but still, it's like will the audiences still want to see a Star Wars movie in 2026?
Mandalorian dropped, Baby Grogu, Baby Yoda dropped 2019.
Yeah,
It's gonna be 7 years. Those kids that were 7 are 14 now.
yeah. The kids that were 14 are now,
All those kids that were like, "Oh, I watched the Baby Yoda show." Yeah, they're not thinking about Star Wars. They're thinking about other stuff.
they're thinking about things that 14-year. You know what? It's weird that the kids who grew up with that. Yeah, you're right. Like, it's bizarre to think that even a 5-year-old is now 12. So it's like this.
Yeah.
It's weird. It's been a long time, and then we got Andor, which everyone is calling some of the best Star Wars that's ever been
But it's
produced.
gone now.
It's
not
done.
coming back. Yeah, it's done.
It's never going to come back. But now it's like
Yeah.
that standard of what Star Wars could be is going to be like the new norm. It's like we want something that's
I was
deep.
thinking about that today.
We want something that's fun, and we want something that doesn't treat us like, oh, you're only going to like this because it's fan service, whereas Andor didn't do any of that. Andor just told the story, and yeah, there's great Easter eggs, but it wasn't like in your face stuff. It wasn't like, oh, look at Finn picking up this thing and looking at it and then dropping it. And it was like, oh dear God, please don't
Dr.
do that.
Evazan showing up with
And
Baba.
right, I was like, how are y'all guys on this planet? Did y'all
Y'all
left
that might have been the worst.
No, I
That's
think
the wor-
Finn picking up the ball
Nah,
on the Millennium
James.
Falcon, and then this one are like the top two
I think to
worst ones
you
they've
that
done.
was really bad. To me, I was like, yeah, I'll give it a pass. But Ponda
Yeah.
Baba and Evazan showing up on Jeddah right before they blew it up. How fast did they just do a beeline to like a
Yeah,
cruiser and like
they must have been on their way to the cruiser when they passed by Jin and all them. So that's the only thing that makes sense. But with Mando, there was a lot of fan service, and with Mando came the whole like, okay, you have to actually watch Clone Wars
it
and
was good
Rebels.
fan service.
It was good.
It was good with the
And
Mandalorian.
then we got season 3, which was like, I was like, what happened? And then now it's like, are people still excited about this? We have a
Yeah.
comment here. Mariana says, I'd rather have more Star Wars shows than Star Wars movies. I need more story that the movies can't do anymore. I blame streaming.
I kind of agree with that. When I
Kind
went to go watch Revenge of the Sith, the 20-year anniversary with our good buddy Adam, our good Patreon Adam.
At Adam.
Yeah. I watched the thing and I was like, man, this feels like I'm thinking in my mind, this was really it, you know? It was very quick, it cut very quick. And I was sitting in the theater, I was like, this is almost over. There wasn't a lot to this.
I
But
thought
now
the
like
same
our
thing.
sensibilities now are like, we gotta watch it on streaming 30-minute chunks at a time. One of them with Andor season 2 was like 3 hours at a time, which was wild. But it's like we want more of the storytelling, and that's what streaming is built for, but it's not built for making money for these studios. So it's like now there's talk of a Mando trilogy, and what if the first one doesn't hit, you know?
It's a little scary. But you're right. When I was watching Revenge of the Sith, that's my third favorite Star Wars movie now. It's risen in the rankings for me. There was a moment where I did go like, "Oh my gosh, this is really what the story is of this movie." Like there's no extra plot line happening outside of what we're seeing right now because we're so used to watching Clone Wars where the TV show where you have moments but then you have like other stuff happening and then you're able to like kind of see there's a whole other world and everything happening, whereas Revenge of the Sith was very much like this is the story, this is what we're doing, and he is now evil, and then we're just going to keep going to get to the very end. It's really weird that our brains are now being rewired because of streaming, where we like the fact that we can watch 8 episodes that are almost an hour long and we pretty much get 8 hours of a story.
Yeah, and the crazy thing is I make the time personally to watch it when it premieres, but I just can't go back and rewatch it because it's so long.
Yeah.
To me, it's like if I start watching episodes 1, 2, 3, I need to watch the whole thing, but I just don't have time to do that. Like I've tried doing that with Mando season 1. I think I've done it once, and then I've tried to rewatch it, and it's like I just get stuck, and it's like, well, let me just go to my favorite episodes. I haven't seen season 1 in years now. It feels like
I haven't seen. I never went back and rewatched Mando since it aired. Like I saw it once, and I was good. Saw the second season. I was good.
I thought it was
I've
great.
gone back. I've gone back and watched clips and then like, oh yeah, that was a really cool scene. But yeah, Mando, I guess because of how much I did not like season 3, really kind of made the first 2 seasons not as great
sullied
for
it
me.
for you.
Yeah, and that goes to Game of Thrones also. Like I never got to watch House of the Dragon.
Okay. I'm glad you brought that up, James.
Here we go.
Because Game of Thrones to me is like how James feels about The Last Jedi. To me, I love the ending for Game of Thrones.
Oh, I hated the.
And so many people hate it, and I was like, it ended perfectly.
Don't get me wrong. How it ended is how it should have ended. If we had a whole extra season to explain why certain people do some of the things they do in the very end, and it doesn't, like how quickly things happened on those last couple of episodes. I was like, this is a whole other season that you guys did not do.
And there's a big Star Wars connection, man. Benioff and Weiss were going to do.
They were going to do Star Wars, yeah, and
Age of the Old Republic, Knights of the Republic type thing, and then that happened. big fan backlash, and they're like, who told them they shouldn't be doing it anymore? Did they back away? I'm pretty sure the studio was like, let's rethink this. And
Yeah.
then they did what Rian Johnson did. They went to Netflix and they got a big deal with them. So what? That's interesting how that like came full circle right there, James.
And what sucks is I hear House of the Dragon is actually a pretty good show, but after how it ended, I saw a couple of
Oh, it's a
episodes of
great
House
show,
of
man.
I,
It's
I
great.
saw a couple of episodes, and once the king dies, and once what's her name misheard him and
And the
misunderstood
king
him.
was Dewana Wanga.
The king, yeah. But I'm talking like the
Other
other
one.
his son, the Wanawanga. That's
What was his
he's
name?
he's always going to remember it as Bib Fortuna and
Bib Fortuna, yeah.
Return of the Jedi. But yeah, once the king is dying and he tells his wife and she misunderstands him, and I was like, oh, that's it. That's the whole. That's what this is all going to be about. And I just stopped watching
But
it
I
after that.
don't think it was about that. I think it was about her wanting to think it was that and her using that reasoning.
Bran becomes king. John goes to the north of the wall. The
Welcome
target.
to House of the Dragon stuff.
Yeah, it just didn't matter. Anyways, back to Deadpool. So oh jeez.
Mariana
I
agrees.
was
Yeah.
agreeing with you. It's a great show. All
It is a
right.
great show. And I
Anyways.
met Ryan Condal last year at San Diego Comic
Oh,
Con
that's right. You
on the
did.
show floor. And I was like, dude, how are you not mobbed right now? And he's like, I just look like every other middle-aged nerd out here. So, and I was like, I recognize you. So
That's pretty funny though. That's pretty great though. Um so yeah, Rian Johnson's trilogies, I've been saying it for a while, but it looks like it's probably never going to happen. It's probably we're never going to see it. He has his third Knives Out movie, which I know he hates that it's called a Knives Out story. He has his next movie coming out,
he's got
and
100 million reasons why not to hate it.
yeah, that deal was disgusting when him and Ram Bergman and Daniel Craig got from Netflix. Like that was just otherworldly what they got. So yeah, I'm bummed because I do like Rian Johnson. And again, I'm always gonna love The Last Jedi. It's such a great Star Wars movie, and I know a lot of people look at me weird that I don't that I do like it. But here's where I get upset, and I'm gonna shut up about it. It's whenever people say you're wrong for liking The Last Jedi. That's when I'm like, all right, this is when it gets weird. You know, like it's like you can't tell somebody, oh, your opinion, you're just dead wrong when it comes to Star Wars. And it's like that's what I don't like. You can disagree with me, I'm totally fine, but don't tell me I don't understand Star Wars because I like The Last Jedi. And that's where I'm like, stop. Yeah, but for me, like I always tell people, it's still Star Wars. Like I still, there's certain episodes of Mando I don't like that everyone likes. I'm like, all right, that's cool. But anyways, no, but you know what show I did go back and rewatch was Andor. I've rewatched the first season of Andor 3 times, and it's amazing all 3 times. Just saying. So
It was a hard watch for me, man.
you're crazy.
It was a little difficult. I mean, yeah, you can call me crazy, which you just did, but I don't know. It's too much of a downer, I guess, for me personally.
Well, look how Rogue One ended.
Yeah, but you had A New Hope right afterwards, and you got to see Darth Vader like do his thing. And it's the opposite of The Last Jedi. We expected certain things and we got them.
Yeah.
Everyone expected Darth Vader to go ape stuff. He did. Everyone figured the whole cast was going to die. Spectacularly, they did.
Well, Luke needed to pass the torch to Rey. That was the purpose. I don't know.
Yeah.
I liked it, and I still really, really enjoy that movie a lot. And so yeah, that was our Rian Johnson podcast. Hope you enjoyed it. I'm just kidding. There's more we have to talk about. In other great news, something big was announced this week, which was the maker himself, George Lucas, will be at San Diego Comic-Con.
His first San Diego Comic-Con.
First ever convention, San Diego Comic-Con
I've been to more Comic
show.
Cons than George Lucas
That's
in San
crazy to
Diego
think about. That's wild.
by
But
one.
yeah, so he's going to be there. He's going to be promoting his new museum he's opening in LA. And as you can see, he's here with Guillermo del Toro, Queen Latifah. You know, I mean, it's going to be.
You didn't
So
even say
wait,
Doug Chang?
why? No, I was distracted by Queen Latifah. Like, why is she up there? What is she promoting?
She's
Like,
a
I was looking at all
moderator.
the faces, and I looked, and my brain went to her, and I was like, wait, Queen Latifah, why is she there? I mean, she's great. Don't get me wrong. I'm not making fun of Queen Latifah. I was just confused. You showed me this.
That's what I put up the picture and Queen Latifah.
Yeah, and Queen Latifah. I was like, I wasn't expecting to say that name. But yeah, Doug Chang and Queen Latifah are going to be there at San Diego Comic Con. And when is George Lucas's museum opening? Is it next year?
I
Or
have
is
no
that what he's going to
clue.
announce, you think?
Yeah, everyone's like idea is it's going to be open around the time Celebration hits in Los Angeles. That's why they're having it there, and they can have a big like surge in attendance and that whole thing.
Craig, it's Queen Latifah herself.
Man, did Craig listen to all that Last Jedi talk we just did?
Oh no, I already got messages from him right now telling me that I need to never podcast ever again. He's telling me, he's like, James needs to never podcast about Star Wars ever again.
Yeah. Did he even send me a message?
I was
I
sick.
don't know.
Oh, wait,
I'm
were you sick and you didn't hear it, or you were sick because I was talking about it? One of the two. It's one of those two.
Yeah, it's one of those.
But yeah, so David, are you going to be able to see George Lucas at San Diego Comic-Con?
Maybe. Maybe I will. Maybe I won't. Maybe there's gonna be a wall between us. Who knows? I mean, the way that San Diego Comic Con works as far as media goes, which is interesting because the founder of Collider, he was the first like known person that I saw last year, and I told him, "Hey, I got a media badge," and he was like, "Oh, that does nothing." And I'm like, "Huh?" And if you don't know, Star Wars Celebration, when they give you a media badge, it also really
Doesn't
not
really do anything. Yeah.
anything special outside of getting you in the convention and giving you access to a break room that I have never been in or found, or tried to look for. But yeah, when it happened, I was there with Ted from Countdown City Geeks. I help those guys out when I can, and he was like, "Get in the media line," and I was like, "Okay, what is this? I don't know what this is gonna do, but is there a media line?" So media line just magically formed. We got in it, and I'm like, Hall H Saturday, yay! Because like, if you've been listening, I'm one of those people that take an allotted amount of time to look at all the updates and stuff from Hall H, because that's the big spot where
It's the big
they
one.
drop all the new info and for Marvel and DC and this and that. And so, yeah, it's kind of like a tradition I have. Brings me a lot of joy because I'm still a movie person. So I was like, okay, I'll do it, see what happens. We get in, nobody's in Hall H. And I'm walking fast. I'm like, is this really happening? And then I see the press cage area. It's literally like a cage. I mean, there's bars. It's like you're in like a little like bullpen type thing. So I go in there and I just like show my badge like Wayne and Garth, all the security people, and I get in. And there's all these international people there, like people from like South America and Mexico. They're young people. And they were like planted, like they weren't moving. And I'm like, okay, they've done this before. So I'm like right behind them to the back, arm on the stage. And I'm like, okay, I'm this is Hall H. I'm here. Okay, I guess I'm about to see a bunch of celebrities walk up. Hopefully they walk up these stairs. And lo and behold, it happened. Keanu Reeves, Harrison Ford. I mean, I saw him up close and personal. Robert Downey Jr., when he got announced as Doomsday, he walked off. He gave me a high five. Kevin Feige gave me a high five. Unbelievable, right? I mean,
I don't know what I would have done.
So I see the founder of Collider afterwards, and I was like, "Hey, man, you were wrong. This badge gets you right up on Hall H, man." And he's like, "No, it didn't." I was like, "Yeah." And I started showing him the pictures and video. He's like, "If I would have known, I would have been right there with you." And I was like, "Oh my gosh."
Wow.
So I don't know if I did something to where I wasn't supposed to do it and I just got in, but I don't think so because everyone else had like a media badge and they
Yeah, if
had all
everybody
their
had the
like,
same badge, you got it. Yeah.
yeah, everyone had like their own media outlet. And like I said, there was a lot of like international people up in there. And it was great. It was draining because during the Saturday panel for Hall H where Marvel was about to come out, they're like one restroom break and you can't record. And it's like, what do you mean we can't record? Everyone has their phones out.
Everyone's recording. Yeah, it's gonna be on TikTok here in a couple of
So
seconds. Yeah.
so when the cast for the Thunderbolts came out, I was recording, dude, and that guy was going crazy in there. He was like, "Don't do it, don't record, don't do it." And everyone was like pulling my shoulder and stuff. And I was like, what do you mean? This is the stuff we can record. They didn't say put down your phones because there's always a section where they show footage and they're like, this is for your eyes only. And of course, yeah, you put down your phone. And yeah, it was weird. And I was like, bro, calm down. We can record this part. And
That's so
yeah,
weird.
it was
It's
like
like
you could feel the change in the air when we were about to get the Marvel panel.
nice.
There was a definite kind of, yeah, this is going to be one for the ages possibly. And it was.
Do you think George Lucas's appearance is going to be like when he comes out on stage? Is that going to be insane? Like the yell for him when he walks out?
If it was the 1980s, yeah.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah.
I mean, there's a bunch of kids in there. All these influences are kids, you know?
Brother, ew. I was really upset at
I said that the other day too.
Celebration. And I was really upset at Japan when they had the whole bus of the influencers coming in, and it was like, oh, you guys suck. Like, you're
Yeah, they got
oh, that
driven
was
right up to the convention.
they had
No
their own
lines.
hotel. Ugh.
And
Anyways,
I had a buddy that is a really high profile, and
nope.
he was telling me, I told him, I was like, "Hey, it's interesting they didn't ask you to do it." He's like, "Yeah, I know." And you could just tell he was like bummed about it. But they asked certain people, and I think the people they asked were very, very like outside of our bubble, like people that had just a bunch of followers and just talk about something and move on to the next IP, you know. So it was one of those things. But yeah, it was a huge bus.
Yeah,
And there's like 8 influencers, and that was it. And it
we
was
could have
like,
been on that bus.
what else is on that bus?
One of these days, David, you and I are gonna be like cool with Lucasfilm, and they're gonna be like, "Oh, y'all want to come to all of the events?" We're gonna say, we have to check our schedule, but I think we can squeeze it." You know what I mean? Like, I think that's gonna be us here really soon. So maybe when we hit our 10-year mark of our podcast, we'll finally get to go.
Yeah,
to
they
these.
just had a thing where they invited a bunch of podcasts out, and we didn't get an invite.
So all of our listeners, we need to have y'all just post, where's Star Wars Stuff Podcast? Like, why hasn't Lucasfilm invited Star Wars Stuff Podcast to anything? Because it feels like we're the only ones who just really like Star Wars, and we're the
Aside
one of
from
the
that
few.
Last Jedi talk we
Yeah.
just
Oh, Craig actually has a good point. Maybe if you had me on the episode, which is very true. I think if we had Craig on the episode, I think he'd be helping us out quite a bit. Craig has been saying something really funny. I don't want to say it on here, but he's been posting stuff and it makes me laugh when I read it. And
is it about SpaceCon?
yeah, it's about space. It's really funny.
Yeah,
but it's great. And it makes me so
the
happy when I see
audience.
that.
I asked the people that are listening to us and watching us. When you're in a position where you can ask someone something, what is the boundary where you stop asking for things? I mean, that's the question I have. And Craig doesn't seem to mind asking because SpaceCon is going to happen in San Antonio. They're going to announce a big Star Wars celebrity tomorrow, I think, in the morning.
Yeah.
And Craig was like, "You should be announcing this on Star Wars Stuff podcast." And we haven't been contacted by them either. So
Well, they did something. I'm not going to say anything, but
it happens in our backyard. It happens in San Antonio, Texas, which
doesn't make any sense.
I'm about 30 miles away from them.
He said to contact him. So
yeah, he said to contact him the week of the 14th, but he already made the post that he's going to announce it tomorrow in the AM, and we don't podcast in the AM. So it's like they have their mindset.
Jerks. Oh well. I'm just kidding.
No, but we will be at Rebel ScumCon. We just did a whole episode, last episode, where we had the showrunners on, and yes, they're giving us a booth. They appreciate us, and they want us to keep on coming, and we will be there.
That's so cool.
Colin will be there. Ted might be there. Colin will be in screen accurate Star Wars costumes. Chewbacca, Anakin, and he said something else. I don't know.
Man, his Chewbacca, man, jeez, that is gorgeous. When he's in that, like, I remember when I first saw him, I was just like, this is crazy how great he looks. So yeah.
And it activates your lizard brain because you look at it and it's like a creature and it's bigger than you. And it's almost like you're staring a Sasquatch right in the face. It's weird.
It is weird. And you know, I've been to Galaxy's Edge many times, and looking at that one and then Colin, it's like you look the exact same as the one at Galaxy's Edge. And it's pretty impressive. I helped him put on the suit, and that was a whole ordeal, and it was crazy. He's like, don't hold it like this, and I was like, I am terrified to touch that. Yeah. But so Rebel Scum Con is coming up here very, very soon.
August 8th and 10th.
Yeah, we're already almost halfway done with July. And then Space Con is at the end of October or end of September.
Yes, it's going to be at the end of October, the weekend before Halloween, as it was last year. And then they're going to do another Space Con next year in June. And apparently that's a better date for celebrities to come to San Antonio, even though it's June in South Texas, where it's going to be extremely hot.
Yeah. Well, you talking about it was hot in October when I was there last year.
It was hot?
It was hot in October, yeah. I remember.
It wasn't as hot as summer, though.
Yeah, that's true.
We were saying in October, wow, they should have it always in the fall. But, oh, man, it's scorching. Like, Simu Liu was there for Superhero Comic-Con, and he was like, I don't even want to go outside.
Yeah,
he's from Canada.
I walked from the parking lot to the convention hall, and I was sweating by the time I got to the convention hall. And it was literally like a 3-minute walk. And I was already... I remember you tried to give me a hug, and I was like, "Don't." I was like, "I am gross already. I think I have to go home and shower now. Like that's how bad it is there."
Yeah, apparently Brie Larson was giving people rides in her golf cart.
That makes sense. She's cool though. But SpaceCon, I want to go, but I don't know if I'm gonna be able to go to this one this year. But I really, really hope to go. And look for us at Rebel Scum Con and at SpaceCon. And again, if you see us, come say hi to us. We are very approachable. We want to meet you. And I know David is very intimidating in person. But I promise we're all very, very nice people. And we would love to meet you. So yeah.
Yeah, I don't like the thing where I get the stare. And it's
because that happened to us.
Wave and then they look away.
That happened to us a few times. I mean, we didn't wave, but in Japan, there were people who were looking at us. They were going like, and then as we walked by, and I could see them, and I'm like, I know they know who we are, and I'm not trying to be like, oh, look at us, but it was one of those things where I was like, okay, we can see when people are looking at us, going like, that's. And then I think David, you whispered, you were like, they just said, do you know who that was? As they were like walking by.
Yeah,
and I was like, why didn't we turn around and go, hey?
There's one guy the first day when we got in line, he got out of line to talk to me, and I gave him some of our swag that I had. And I was in a rush too because I was trying to find my way through all that.
Craig says they're going to be like, that's the guy who likes The Last Jedi. Get him. That's amazing. I so I
Oh,
wear directed by Irvin Kershner's shirt. I wear that out in public, and I get a few people who go, "Hey, love the shirt." I'm like, "Thank you so much." One time I wore my written and directed by Rian Johnson shirt out, and somebody said, "I like your shirt." I was like, "Oh wow, okay, thanks." I was a little nervous when I saw them looking at me and going like, I was like, "Oh, here we go. This is gonna be fun." But yeah, maybe that's what they were thinking, Craig. I don't know. We'll see. But yeah.
wow.
All right. Think we're good? Did we miss something?
I don't know. Were you going to read some more information on George Lucas being at his first San Diego Comic Con or no?
Well, yeah, 'cause, yeah, he's promoting his the Museum
His
of Narrative.
museum.
What's it called?
That's it.
Film and Narrative or something like that.
Yeah,
And
there's not going to be a huge Star Wars thing in that museum. There's going to be a little section because it's
yeah,
more about like film, cinema.
and he has I don't know if he's like I don't know. He has a huge collection of like film memorabilia that he's bought throughout the years that he's going to be putting on display.
Yeah.
But like yeah, but like David said, there's only going to be a small part of it as Star Wars. So yeah, I think it's the first. I think he has
He said,
Darth Vader's. No, no, I'm just trying to think of like what I've heard is like I think he has Darth Vader's original suit. Um, he has
some
something else that's like,
Godfather stuff,
well, of course,
Spielberg
yes, that.
stuff, Hitchcock
Mhm.
stuff,
So
like that.
I'm excited, and it's only a couple of miles down the road from me. So,
Oh man,
uh,
you're gonna get like a season pass.
yeah, I'm excited to go, and it looks crazy. Like the design of it looks like
Yeah,
a
it looks like a
spaceship.
shoe.
Yeah, it's pretty
Not
cool
spaceship too.
looking.
Yeah,
I say it looks like a spaceship, but
it
yeah.
looks like a
So
new
that's.
basketball shoe design to me.
But are you gonna come visit and go to the museum here one day?
Yeah, I'm gonna crash at your place and just unannounced. Just hey guys, it's Dave.
I have a feeling the closer we get to celebration, I'm gonna have a lot more people trying to hit me up and say, "Hey, can we stay with you in Hollywood?"
Yeah,
Yeah, it's gonna be
you
crazy.
lucky dog, James.
I
Two
know.
celebrations
But you know what's
next to your place.
crazy? You know how many Star Wars fans I have talked to here in LA? And I say, "Oh my gosh, are you gonna go to Star Wars Celebration?" They go, "What's that?" They have no idea what Star Wars Celebration is.
A lot of people
I
don't know what
A lot
celebration
of
is.
people
Yeah,
don't know. So that's gonna be our goal for the next 2 years is to get people excited for Star Wars Celebration starting today.
yeah.
Anyways, what else you got? Did I miss something?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. So Ivana Sanko, who you see here on our screen, she plays Shin Hati in Ahsoka. She recently did a movie called Megan 2.0. Yeah, there she is up there, which bombed at the box office. Um, really bad too. Like Blumhouse and all them were like shocked that it did not perform well at
Yeah, it was a
all.
sequel to a popular film,
Yeah,
Megan. Yeah.
and it just and what the problem was is they wanted it to be a summer blockbuster, which they were like that was probably a mistake to release it in the summer. We should
Mhm.
have probably pushed it back to the fall or like Halloween time.
Yeah.
But she's in there, and she was what was it, a red carpet or an interview, and she talked about Ahsoka
I
season
think it
two.
was a podcast type of
Oh,
interview
podcast,
for Megan. Yeah.
gotcha. And
And of course, they
Dave,
did the thing where they ask her about Ahsoka season 2.
they have to.
And of course, she did the thing where I can't talk about much. But do you have her quote, James?
No, I thought you did.
No, I don't have it, but I could
Oh,
probably
none of
bring
us
it
had the
up.
quote. We were unprepared for this one. We just had the pictures of her. We're like, oh, they're gonna know. But oops,
Okay. So,
we'll edit this stuff out.
no, we're not going to edit anything out.
No.
I'm just going to publish this. Um, So right at the very beginning here, it says Ahsoka star Ivana Sakno says the Star Wars show's second season is currently in the middle of filming and promises a bigger and even more in-depth journey. And she says, I'm really excited for people to see it. And yeah, it's like we kind of talked about how Dave Filoni was watching Andor season 2 and was like, what am I gonna what I'm gonna
Yeah,
have to do
like
something crazy good now.
it felt like Andor is like raised the bar for all the projects, and to the point where it's like, man, they have to think, they have to really think about what they're doing now. I mean, they have been, but it's like they have to figure out what the audience wants to see. And mind you, you can have different genres in Star Wars and it still works. I mean, Rogue One is basically a war movie. You know, Andor is a spy espionage thriller type show. Mando is not in that genre, if you may. It's science fiction and it's Star Wars, but it's not that, it's not the same type of story. So it's like, all right, how much is Andor going to affect the future of Star Wars and these projects? I'm going to just say probably not. I think Filoni and Favreau are going to just keep telling the story the way they have been telling it. And then I think it's probably going to just stay that way. I don't know. What do you think?
I think Andor season 2 and the fan reaction to it, it's gonna affect Star Wars, I think, in a more positive way as far as tone, getting more adult,
Mm-hmm.
um, in some instances, maybe. But to me, Filoni is set in his way, and I think he
Yeah.
believes in what he's doing, and he's gonna stay on track. But I think he's gonna be more apt to release stuff that's more adult, and maybe if he does become like a co-CEO of Lucasfilm, he'll be more inclined to do more dramatic and tonally
Mm-hmm.
connected to Andor than before, because there's clearly an appetite for it. But
Yeah.
Tony Gilroy, as skilled as he is, which is he's cream of the crop, spent 10 years on it, man. I mean, he spent a good chunk of his life trying to get this to the point where it was what it became, and people loved it, but it's just a few episodes, and
Yeah. It's only 24
that's
episodes.
that's how much of a meat grinder this is. And it's like he spent all that time, and we got great episodes, a great season, but it's like it's all comes down to what they want to invest, and they want to get back to theaters. So maybe got to get a little bit more serious with Star Wars.
Yeah. I'm hoping, I'm really hoping Mando and Grogu delivers, man, because this is a big turning point for Star Wars. If this movie doesn't do well, I think Star Wars might be done for a few years, for longer than what we had between Rise of Skywalker and Mando and Grogu. I think it's going to be a long time before we see another Star Wars movie if Mando and
Well, I
Grogu.
don't think so, because they have to be making money in theaters. They're gonna still be releasing stuff.
Yeah, I mean, they
They,
got
they
this.
have to do the because the investors, they if there was no investors, if this was just Lucasfilm by itself, or it was just like a private company, then yeah, I mean there might be another.
I mean, but we haven't had a movie in 7 years.
Well, I mean, we've had a lot of streaming stuff though. They really wanted the streaming thing to work out, and of course,
Well,
it's
I,
really
I think
plateaued.
I think if it doesn't perform, I think Lucasfilm might be sold to something, or you know what I mean. Like, it just seems really crazy to think if this movie doesn't do well, what does that mean for the future of Star Wars?
You know, I texted you and Colin a thing about someone trying to buy Star
I looked that
Wars.
up, and there's nobody else is talking about that. There's
It
no
might be
way.
someone's like, yeah, it says Netflix CEO says they're looking into trying to possibly buy Star Wars.
Which that's not even, don't
Yeah.
believe that rumor. Yeah,
I
because
don't
you
know. It's
think,
funny.
but I will say I think it may slow down, and then they're just gonna hopefully put money like in the parks or something, or put money in, a show, and they're gonna be like, well, Andor was successful, so let's get another serious writer to make us another Andor style show, and that's what people are gonna want to watch. And I think that's what's gonna happen if Mando and Grogu doesn't perform as well.
The fans have grown up, James.
Yeah.
Even the prequel fans. They're
Who are
in
now
their late 20s, early 30s.
it's weird because I've had a lot of prequel fans tell me that The Last Jedi is not Star Wars and the sequels are not Star Wars, and I'm just laughing at them hysterically.
AI
Like,
Vader
no.
said the sequels aren't Star Wars.
What was that?
AI Vader in Fortnite. He
Oh
just
yeah,
had
that's
that
right.
account. Yeah.
But no, it's funny how the millennials are like, "Oh, the sequels ruined Star Wars," and I was like, when y'all were kids, everybody hated the prequels, so I don't understand what you're doing now. Anyways,
History repeats itself, man.
yep, yeah, we'll see what happens. Maybe in a couple of years, y'all are all gonna be like, "James was right." Just kidding. Nobody's gonna say that. But yeah, cool.
Cool.
Who talks first? I talk first. You talk first. But did we miss anything, David?
No, I think we kind of covered all the big stuff, which there hasn't been a lot of this.
Yeah.
But
And sorry we haven't released our other 2 episodes. I think we might just dump them all off.
it's James's fault.
It's my fault. I shaved the beard and that just made me so irresponsible. So yeah, that's how that happened.
You don't know how long it takes to shave James's beard.
You want to know how
about
long it
2
took me?
weeks.
You want to know how long it took me to do this? To shave
How
off the
long?
beard? It took me 10 minutes. It took me a full 10 minutes to shave off the beard.
That's not too long. What do you do? Do you cut it short first and then shave?
Yeah, I have an electric. Why are we talking about this? What the hell's going on?
Okay, so you don't want to use electric razor. You want to use clippers
and
just no guard, and you can go through it, and
a
then
beard,
you can shave after that.
a beard clipper is what I bought, and then sure enough, I just went zip, and it just went straight to the skin, pretty much. And then I was like, oh, okay, and I just did it all the way around. I got my blade, then I shaved, and then so that's how I did it, and it took me less than 10 minutes, and I was like, oh, and just like that, I am a whole new person. So yeah. And people, I haven't shaved in 3 years, so yeah, this is the first time I've looked like this in about 3 years. So
Okay, Craig is saying should have had me on. Very sad, but Craig is usually asleep by this time, or he's tending to his kids, and he says he can't podcast. So I don't even bother asking him.
So why are you getting mad at us, Craig? Like,
yeah, don't get mad at us, Craig.
Yeah, but I would like to podcast with you again, Craig. You're great. So one of these days soon we should podcast because that'll be a lot of fun.
Yep, one of these days.
Even though he picks on me, it's fine. I know.
Oh man.
And on that
note, that's
it. But yeah, thank you all so much for listening and for joining us for the Star Wars Stuff podcast. Be sure to oh geez.
So Craig's saying he wants an invite at least. So I'm going to invite him every podcast we do.
There we go.
And I'm going to tally every single time he has an excuse that he can't podcast with us and see.
So just know, going forward, we will be inviting him every single time we record. And if he's not here, we invited him. Just going to say that. Just want to throw that out there.
Yeah,
but it will be good for ratings. I know that much. But yeah, be sure to check us out on Instagram. Be sure to check us out on Facebook, Star Wars Stuff Podcast. We have a Facebook page and a Facebook group. Check us out at Blue Sky. We have all the links down below. But yeah, just be sure to check us out everywhere. If you want to subscribe to our Patreon, you'll be able to listen to our episodes without any ads. Also, there's a few little tidbits of me. I pop up every now and then, and we have a little chat. If you want to email
Patreon
us,
was having issues, so I wasn't able to upload properly. Yeah. So that's kind of the reason why I didn't upload the previous episodes, because Patreon wouldn't allow me to upload. And I thought it was just a glitch. And now it's kind of like half working. So I got to sit here and watch it while it tells me you can do other things and let it upload in the background. But no, it won't do that. So I don't want to give out episodes to the public, and I don't give them to our Patreon members. That's why I kind of been holding back a little bit. So yeah.
But it's gonna work. It's all gonna work out. We're gonna be good. If you want to email us, ask us some questions, tell us how we're doing.
If you want to invite us to something.
And Lucasfilm, if you want to invite us to something, we would love to. We love Star Wars. Be sure to email us at starwarsstuffpodcast@gmail.com. We have a Facebook group and a Facebook page, Star Wars Stuff Podcast. If you're listening to us on Apple Podcasts, please leave us a review and give us 5 stars. That helps us out tremendously. Helps us with our our ranking. So yeah, that would be really, really great if you could do that. Also, if you're listening on Spotify, give us a thumbs up, I think is what it is on Spotify. And
Also, yeah, you do 5 stars on Spotify now.
oh yeah, give us 5 stars on Spotify. Leave us a comment too. We enjoy reading your comments and everything. And let me know how wrong I am for liking The Last Jedi. That would be a lot of fun to read as well. And
Yeah,
Craig is
seriously, thank you. Thank you to everyone out there that listens to us. We can see how many people are listening, when they're listening, what app they're using. It's pretty cool that a lot of you guys support us the way you do by listening
yes.
and keeping the show going. And I just want to say thank you.
Well said. Well, on behalf of David, my name is James, and may the force be with you always.
Always.